Hello and welcome everyone. I hope you can all hear me. We are going to start the webinar shortly. Sorry for the delay. All right, thanks for joining us today. Welcome everyone to our webinar on crash prediction models with PTV safety. My name is Carsten Kremer. I'm the product manager for all our safety-related products here at PTV. If you have any questions, just drop us a mail at safety@ptvgroup.com, or if you have any question during the webinar, feel free to click on this red button and you can enter any questions there. I might not notice them during the presentation, but afterwards I'll be able to answer your questions. All right, let's start. We're talking about crash prediction models, and at first I want to tell you a bit what are crash prediction models, what are they used for. I'll then talk about some modeling issues you will come across when you're trying to do this for the first time, when you're trying to implement a crash prediction model. And I'll show you how you can evaluate the results with Visum safety. And in the last part of the webinar, I will show you, give you some ideas of what customization is possible with Visum safety, how you can define your own crash prediction models. All right, so what is a crash prediction model? Let's start with what a crash prediction model is not. A crash prediction model will not tell you that tomorrow at 11:30 there will be a crash happening at a certain location. You should rather think about it as in your typical traffic model. You will know something like about 9 million cars will use this road in 1 year. And if you know about the number of crashes per million vehicles which are going to happen on a road like this, on a motorway, then you know that about 2 crashes might happen on this segment. That's the idea of a crash prediction model. How is this used? If you are planning some big changes in your traffic network, you have a current status, maybe you want to build a bypass or something like this, then you have different possible layouts. Typically, you analyze these layouts with PTV Visum to get an idea of how much traffic are you going to be able to shift out of the city center to your bypass. And of course, you will always have an idea of the costs which building this bypass will cost you. And the idea of Visum safety is that in this planning procedure, you can also decide not only for the cheapest layout or for the layout which will divert the most traffic out of the city, but also for the safest layout. So you have an evaluation method to evaluate your schemes, your plans with respect to safety. Okay, how does this work? You have an idea of for each road type, you have different crash costs, which are typically coming out of such a traffic of such a crash prediction model. For example, if you know that you have physical lane separation in between the 2 driving directions, then the road will be quite safe. In other cases, the crash costs will be more, always per 1,000 vehicles per kilometer of road. And you will also look at the intersections, and different layouts of intersections will give you crash costs again per 1,000 vehicles at this intersection. If you have roundabouts, they will be much more secure than, for example, just a 4-legged priority intersection. All right. So what we have, if we use this, we have a standardized valuation method to compare these different schemes. The idea is that we have estimations of cost rates for the crashes, and this makes it possible to make a cost-benefit analysis whenever you do such a new construction or any change of traffic network, basically. So let's stay with such a simple example. You can use Visum Safety to make much more complicated examples where you don't really have constant crash costs per vehicles, but much more complicated functions. But we start with a simple example. This is an example which is used in Switzerland, and the idea, as I said before, is to give a constant accident rate for different road types. So if you are on a major motorway, then there might be some other conditions, if you have more than 2 lanes or not, and depending on this you will get different accident rates. The numbers here in this right column are accidents per million vehicles per kilometer. And you have these different road types: minor motorway, tunnel, rural road, and urban situations. You have also an idea here in this model of the use of the land use around the road. So if you have high commercial use, you would expect lots of pedestrians crossing the road. That's why in this model there will be higher accident rates. These are the rates for the road segments, and as I said before, we also have a look at intersections. And at intersections you typically at least have different types for the different control types, and typically you also want to distinguish between 3-legged intersection, that's T-junctions, or real intersections where more than 3 roads intersect. And you have again an accident rate. Now this time you don't have a length, so this is just accidents per million vehicles going over this intersection. Now we have these accident rates. We'd like to have an evaluation in terms of money, so to do the cost-benefit analysis. So if we have this accident rate, we say there will be a rate of severe injury accidents, of light injury accidents, and of property damage only accidents. In this Switzerland example, it's just you can do this also depending on the road type. In this case, on the motorway, we have 2% severe injury accidents, and we can have a cost per severe injury accident. We multiply by this, and putting all this together, we get an accident cost rate. Now again, on the motorway with our conditions, you can do this for all the other road types as well. So this would be a very simple model, and I'll shortly show you how you can set this up in PTV Visum Safety very easily. Before I do this, I want to mention that there will be much more complicated accident prediction models. Another one which is quite simple is called COBA. This is used in the UK. It's short for cost-benefit analysis, and again we have road types. In this case we have other road types than in the Swiss example, but the idea is the same. I distinguish between different types of road. Maybe I pay attention here to the fact that modern roads will have a different accident rates than older roads. And again, I have a look at the number of lanes, the speed limit here only to distinguish between the rural setting and the urban setting. And at intersections, same as before, we look at the control type, the type of road, the number of legs. These are typical attributes. But as I said, accident prediction models may become much more complex. You can basically, any attribute which you have in your Visum model can be used for the accident prediction model. Now, here in our case, the idea is we have these road types. We have to define the road types for all of our network so that all roads have one of those types. And the accident prediction model will then attribute an accident rate to each of these roads and to all intersections. And if you have the accident rate, that's the number of crashes per million vehicle kilometers, then you can multiply this by the number of by the traffic volume, the number of vehicles, to get an accident density, which you can then sum up to give you an expected accident count, or if you have these cost rates, an expected accident cost. All right, so let's have a look at Visum. What I'm going to show you first is how to set up such a prediction model. We use this Swiss example. I'll show you how to define these link types. That's one major point which you have to do. Then I'll show you how to what attributes you have to look out for if you use this Swiss model at least. And I'll show you another thing typical for very detailed networks. If you have one intersection which in your model is made up of more than one node. All right, so let's have a look at this. If you want to follow or if you want to do this yourself, what I'm doing here, you have to start PTV Visum Safety, not just start PTV Visum. If you have started PTV Visum Safety, then you will see this little PTV Visum Safety window down here. And we'll use for a start a network which is one of the Visum examples. You will find this if you go to Help, Examples, Open Examples folder. And here you have the folder Examples. And there is the demand 4-step example. This doesn't have anything to do with safety. It's just a traffic model which we are going to use here as a starting point for setting up our model. And we just open this result file, and please don't open it by double-clicking it, because if you double-click this, then PTV Visum will open, not Visum Safety. So what you can do here easily is just drag this to the Visum Safety window, and then it will open there. And you see we have this safety, this version file now opened. It looks a bit complicated. I'm just going to close some of the windows we are not going to use. So this is a typical traffic model. In this case, we have public transport and private transport. The private transport is the orange bars, which give you an idea of how many vehicles are going on these roads. The public transport are the blue bars, but we are not going to use the traffic volumes now, so I'm going to switch these bars off. Now this is our town, and first thing we want to do is to set up these link types. So here, down here in this Visum Safety window, you use this exactly as you would the network window over here, but here you have all the safety related functions. So if you right click on this link icon here, then you can select the graphics parameter for showing us these links in this safety related context. So basically you have the possibility here for the link attributes to select the APM types. That's what we want to do right now. Show us the APM types. I'll check show legends so that we see what types we can set up. And you see here the different types which we have seen in the model before. And what you don't see is anything in the network window, because all these links don't have any types yet. So the first thing we want to do is set this up. You do this by right-clicking on links and select Edit APM Link Type. This will give you this little dialog here, which will stay always around. You can leave this open the whole time, and you can use this to set up these link types. Typically, you might want to do, for example, a link filter to filter some of the links. For example, I'm going to do a link filter with the attribute type number. This is what tells me what the motorways are going to be. This is quite typical for Visum. I'll choose type numbers 0 up to 20. All right. Now I have this link filter. And now I can select here from the drop-down menu these links which I have now filtered. You see up here the affected links, how many links I have chosen right now. These are going to be major motorways. And you see over here there's the first major motorway appearing, and I'm just changing the filter now, and I select the rural roads. So I'm going to select here the types 21 up to 40. Okay. Now I have selected 195 links. I'll set these to major rural road. There they are. And I continue like this. The next types I want to set are 41 to 60. Okay. And I set those to major urban roads. And the last ones are going to be the types 61 up to 70. These are going to be my minor urban roads, so I'll select here minor urban road. All right, and now I switch off the link filter, and we have basically a first typization of these roads. You see that some of those roads I have given no type at all. If I mark one of those here, for example this one, you see the APM link type is unknown here. You would probably set this to irrelevant for all the other ones, just to say this is just not used by the model. So if we have a look at, for example, this point here, there's an intersection. There's an intersection here of 4 links all coming together. But if I say that these 2 links are not really relevant for our model, so I set them to irrelevant, then Visum Safety will know that this is not really an intersection at all, because there are only 2 links left, and there will be no accident count predicted for this situation here. All right. So as I've already shown you before, you can also set these links types by just marking such a link. Like, for example, this one seems to have become blue by chance, so I'll set this to a major urban road. You can mark, of course, more than one doing this as well. A nice thing to do is also, if you select from the links menu here, the link sequence dialog. This is really quite practical if you want to set up more than one link at once, but not using a link filter, but rather a segment of links. Make sure that when you choose parameters here, the transport system is set to car, and then you can just select a link. You press down the mouse button, add a node, and you leave it pressed, and then you drag the mouse. You see there are these link sequences starting to appear. You drag the mouse up to the point where you want to stop the link sequence, and then you have marked several links at once, and you can set this here, for example, to minor motorway, this strip of road. If you want to start again using a new link sequence, the easiest thing you can do is just click here on undo. This will reset your marking, and you can continue, for example, setting such a link sequence here as well. I'll set this to to minor motorway. So these are the possibilities. If you have finished with the link sequence, you can just close this dialog. All right, so that's basically how our model looks like. Now we have set up these link types, so we can close the dialog with the link type here. And the next thing we want to have a look at is the nodes. So as I mentioned before, the most important thing for the nodes is the control type. You should make sure that the control types are set right. I can show the control types by right-clicking here on the nodes icon and setting this as well to APM types. I also switch on Show Legend here. And you see now the important control types are marked here, the signalized ones and the roundabouts. And you see here in this model, the control types are not really very good filled up. I doubt that there are only around about 10 traffic lights in this city. Let's start with a roundabout, of course. Here at this point, I know that there is a roundabout, so I mark the node, click here on nodes, mark the node. And if you remove this Visum safety window, if you just drag it away from here, then below it you find the quick view for the nodes, and they are typically one of the attributes, because it's often needed, is the control type. And you can just set this here to roundabout, and then the roundabout sign appears here. If you double click the Visum safety window, it will just go back to its place down here. Now, you don't really want to do this for all the traffic lights, because there are going to be lots of traffic lights here. So of course you can think about where to get some useful data from. For example, you could import data from OpenStreetMap. There is an OpenStreetMap importer in Visum, so you could use this, which would typically give you at least the positions of traffic lights. I'm just doing this here. I've prepared it a bit, so I'm going to open a network file which was made using OpenStreetMap and contains the position of the traffic signals. It's possible to read this additively so that the existing network does not get deleted. And when we have imported those, these traffic signals are imported as POIs, point of interest. If you click here on this star to show them, then you see the locations which we have imported from OpenStreetMap. And now we can set the control types at these nodes. And to do this, we have to use a bit of Visum functionality. Because right now we have the positions, but as you see here, we have positions of traffic lights, but they don't yet have anything to do with the nodes here. So what we can do is we count at each node how many traffic lights are in a radius of, say, 20 meters. And if there are any, then we will set the control type to traffic lights. I'll show you how to do this. First, we have to count the traffic lights around the nodes. So I select Nodes, Multi-Edit. I'm going to store this number of traffic lights in an attribute which is not used by Visum normally, which is called add value 1. You could also define user-defined attributes for this. And I'm going to intersect these with these POIs which contain the traffic signals. And I have a buffer size of 20 meters around each node. I'm going to look, and I'll sum up the attribute 1 if I find such a traffic signal. So this will give me now, in the attribute add value 1 of the node, I will have now the number of traffic lights around this node. I close this one. Now next step is to filter the nodes, to select only those which have these traffic lights. So I'll right-click on the filter icon, as attribute, I select this new attribute, this add value 1 attribute, and if this is greater than 0, I also check use filter. Now I have only the nodes which satisfy this filter criterion, and now I can multi-edit those active nodes which I've filtered now and set the control type to the constant signalized. And now you see here this traffic light appeared, and you see this happened at all the places where we had these traffic lights, at least if there is a node in the Visum model. At some places like here, there's obviously there's a small road here which is not in our model, so there's no node here in our model where we could set the control type. Now I switch off the poise, and we see we have populated our model with these traffic lights. There's also some minor points about the nodes which you should have a look at. Let's take maybe this node here. If you double click this and you look at the geometry, then you see for Visum currently this is a 3-leg intersection, right? There is 3 legs of the intersection: the northbound, the westbound, and the southbound leg. Now you don't want to have this, because obviously at this point you don't really have a node, but it's rather just a splitting up of one road segment to a road segment where you have a physical separation between the 2 lanes, and that's why you have this separation. But there's no conflict at this point. So if you want to tell this to Visum, you should click here on links and uncheck the outer link orientation. If you do this, you can select these values here yourself, and if you set this one here to southbound as well, then these 2 will come together and form one leg of the intersection. So this is now counted as a 2-leg intersection by Visum safety, and this will tell the model if it has only 2 legs, then there will be no conflicts. So the accident rate will be 0 at this point for the intersection. Right? So I click on Apply Link Orientations, and then we can leave this junction editor. You can do this as well and at other places. That's one of the things you have to look out for. The other thing is, in some cases, maybe I'll just show you a background map. I hope this works. Yeah, so here we have the OpenStreetMap in the background. So you see the situation at this point. This basically is one big intersection here. And in the Visum model, it's modeled by 2 nodes. One is here and one is here. So if you now run the model, the prediction model, then it will say, well, this is a big intersection with lots of vehicles going through here. There's going to be a big traffic count here, and you will have a big traffic count here, accident count here, sorry. So what you want to do is to tell Visum that these 2 nodes form just one intersection, and you do this by using main nodes. If I show the main nodes here, what you would have to do, right, okay, and I'll just show them all maybe. So there doesn't seem to be a main node here yet, so what you would have to do is add a main node at this point by go into insert mode, add a main node. This will delete the assignment, it's okay. And you can create a main node. We don't have to give it a name. Here just you select them, make a polygon here, and this will be the main node. You click on OK, and now the main node will be here. These 2 nodes are now combined to give just one intersection. All right, I see. Was already a main node there. Okay, Great. So we've defined such a main node, and now we have prepared all our model, and now we want to have a look at the results. So maybe switch back to the presentation. The thing I want to show you now is how you can look at the accident counts, the densities which are predicted by the model, and how, yeah, you want to make basically pictures like this, where you see how many accidents you are going to have. So we have here the model, and what you do now is very simple actually. You'd right click on the links in the Visum safety module, because there you have these APM attributes. You have APM accident rate. So we click on accident rate, and I'm going to set here a value where should this become red, and I'll choose a threshold value of 4 accidents per million vehicle kilometers per year. And now you see that which links have a high accident rate and which links have a low accident rate. I'm going to do the same for the nodes here. There's also the accident rate, and as a threshold value I'll use 1. Now you see the worst nodes and the worst links if you are talking about the accident rate. As I said, this is basically the risk of having an accident here, and you see on the motorway, which you have just defined here, the risk is low because there's not that many accidents happening there. At our roundabout, even though it has many arms, there's not a high accident rate, while at unsignalized intersections in between there will be a high accident rate predicted. And now typically what you want to do now is combine this with your traffic volumes. So you want to see not the accident rate, but rather the accident density. The APM accident density, of course. And I'll set this here to 14 accidents. I hope this looks just about right. Yeah. And for the nodes, I will also choose the APM accident count. That's really the number of accidents which I expect here. I set this to be red if I have 6 accidents per year. I can also show you the node legend as well, so that you see this. I'll just add the nodes to the legend. Great. So that's the currently set up values. You see Visum Safety has automatically created this colors for you, where the value where it's going to be dark red is the value you entered here, which was 14 or 6. And you also see what I told you before, that at main nodes here, you don't have an estimated accident count at each small node, but rather just one accident rate count for the whole intersection, for the complete intersection of these main nodes. All right. If you want to get an idea of what is the total accident count in the whole network, the trick is to show list statistics network information, because that's what you want to do. You want to get information about the network. All those Visum attributes here, we don't really want to use them. You get to the attribute selection here, and you select. We can delete all of these. We don't use them here. But what we want to have, we select here from network the attribute APM accident count. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So you have to select it here. Then you click Add. Now it's over here. It's going to be shown in your list, and there you have the accident count of 1,143 accidents which are predicted for this network, which I've shown you. You can add the accident cost total as well here. Now, and what you then, okay, so this was the evaluation of what amount of accidents are predicted and what the costs are going to be. Now, typically, you want to do a comparison of two networks where you can select, where you can show how the accidents costs are different between two scenarios which you are looking at. And a good way of doing this is the Visum Scenario Manager. And I'll just show you this as well. This is another network here where we have this town here, and we are planning a bypass over here. And we have two scenarios defined in this scenario editor. The one is just the base version, and the other one is the bypass version. This one has a bypass and this doesn't. Now you can include several different scenarios here. Important thing, if you want to do such a safety analysis, in your basic settings for the scenario indicator, you include these network attributes accident cost or accident count from the APM. If you do this, then you can see these attributes here in this table, and you can see for all the scenarios the expected accident cost and the expected accident count. And you can directly compare them here. And what you can also do is just compare two scenarios. You click on this the scale symbol here, and then you can define some comparison patterns. I have prepared this here for accident cost. I'm just saying let's compare those two scenarios. I click on compare, and now Visum has to do a lot. You can just remove these warnings. That's quite normal. And it's going to prepare a version comparison between these two scenarios, and also will give us the visualization of those. So if I switch here to the network editor, I might remove this window a little bit. Then you see it has now calculated here on the bypass. There's going to be, of course, more accidents than before, because before there was not even a road here, so there were no accidents. But the new road is quite safe, so there's not that many accidents happening now here, but there's lots of accidents less happening in the inner city, where you have lots of pedestrians, where you have lots of intersections, where you always get these the green dots here are the values which you have saved at your intersections, and the green bars around the links are the values you have saved for the complete links. So this is the visual, this gives you a visual idea of where you're going to save accident costs and where more accidents are going to happen. Of course, at the intersections where you have new intersections here, you have new accidents happening there. All right. So, as I said, the interesting thing here is that you can include the accident cost and the accident count in this scenario manager to show you at one glance what the expected accident counts are going to be and the accident costs. Now, in the last few minutes, I want to show you what your possibilities are of customization of this accident prediction model. Of course, I've always here shown only this Swiss model. This was the APM definition, basically, because you have these road types, and for each road type, you want to define the accident rate. So there's two things here which you want to define. You want to define what road types are possible, and you have to add maybe other conditions and add an accident rate. And I've shown you here where this file is located, where you can do this yourself in Visum Safety. Basically, this is an XML file where you define these different link types, and you also define which color they should use when they are shown in the network editor. And once you have done this, you can define the accident rates, which are shown here in the right column. In another part of this XML file, where you see you can define as a link prediction condition. Maybe it's just one of the types. Maybe there's other conditions as well. Maybe like the number of lanes should be less than or greater than 2 or equal to 1. Or you have the separated attribute which tells you whether those are separate links, and you can define here an accident rate. So this is the first thing you can customize. If you want to go further, you can also, yes, sorry, said this already. So you can also define this formula for the APM accident count. Currently, this is just the predicted accident rate times the traffic volumes times the length of the road segment. But in general, you can have much more complicated examples like exponential formulas used there. These are typically used, for example, in the Highway Safety Manual, which is used in the United States. Of course, you can do the same for the expected accident costs. You can also give a formula there. You can set up the cost rates. We have included the Swiss model with Visum Safety, so you can look at this definition file and you can just try around with it. You can change it. Or if you have a complicated accident prediction model in your country, which is generally used, please don't hesitate to just contact us. We might be able to help you implement this model for you. That's it for today. Thanks very much for your attention. And as I said, you have the possibility now to ask questions if you want to, at least if I have the possibility to see them here. I don't right now. Ah, yes. So I've found the questions. So if you have any questions now, you can try and ask them. I'm still struggling a bit with the controls here. I'm sorry. Yeah, no. So the first question here is there a default value for APM available? I take it that the question is there a default APM available? So what we do with Visum Safety, we deliver you this Switzerland example. It's included in our installation. So you can just use this one, but you should pay attention. It's specific for the Swiss model, so it gives you an idea, but you should not expect it to be a very exact model. So yes, there is a default APM included, but in your country you should try to get a local APM definition set up. Are there more questions? So the question is, our institution has already Visum. Does Visum Safety modules, are they already installed, or do we have to purchase it separately? Okay, right. So Visum Safety is an add-on module for Visum. If you have the license, so you can see whether you have the license here. If you click in Visum on Help License, and you see here whether there's a check at the safety module or not. So if you have not checked this one, then you have to purchase this separately. It's an add-on license. It's not expensive. And the important thing is that Visum Safety is not automatically installed with Visum. So if you have the Visum Safety license, Then the next thing you want to do is to get the Visum Safety installer from our download page. You have to install this separately, and you also have to start it separately. So if you go to your program folder, you have the PTV Vision 2014, for example, here. Then there is a PTV Visum, and there is PTV Visum Safety. And if you start PTV Visum Safety, then Visum is started as well, but you have this PTV Visum Safety window down here, which you can then use for all the safety stuff. Right. Any more questions? Okay, then thanks very much for your attention. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate. Send us an email and we'll try to answer. Thanks and goodbye. See you the next time.